set?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Hanover Selectboard meeting of December 5th, 2022. We're here tonight to have some fun and do good work for the town as always. I don't think I see anyone for public comment, so I'm not going to read the normal public comment regulations. But yeah, the ordinance is public comment. Anyone here for public comment? I see no hands. Second order of business, appointments, treasurer, zoning board of adjustment. Alex,
Sorry, I'm
I
just
think we
pulling
have a
up.
guest here tonight.
We do, and I might suggest, why don't we invite our guest up?
Matt, up,
Come up.
please. Matt, state your name and the fact that you're a resident of Hanover.
Yeah.
Tell us why you're here.
Exactly. Matt Stover. I'm a resident here of Hanover for about 3 years now. I actually built my own house on 31 Reservoir Road, so I got a variance for that. So I actually became quite familiar with the process of going all the way through.
Congratulations, you made it.
Exactly, made it. And so I have a house standing there. 2 kids in the school system. Wife is here as well. I'm a former management consultant, investor in the area. Happy to answer any questions you might have. I'm happy to serve.
So Matt's here as a, seek a position on the Hanover, is it planning board or zoning?
Zoning Board of
Zoning
Adjustment.
board.
Yeah, Zoning Board of Adjustment. So.
You know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I know what I'm,
Understand.
having written my own variance
Right, I
application, I know
say-
exactly what I'm getting into.
I move to appoint Matt Stover as the newest member of the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
A second, oh, sorry, Bill.
I'm going to discuss this.
I know, but I thought I would put the motion
I
on
thought
the
that's
table.
a good idea.
And-
You know, I always do that late, so that's.
I know, I was just,
So Matt, I'd be interested in how we attract other people of your age group to these wonderful committees. And you obviously, there's something that caused you to step up and say, I'd like to do it. Can we learn something from that and apply it to others?
maybe you should attend a few meetings and then come back in 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it's actually an interesting moment for the town, especially with the strategic planning work going on that'll lead into the planning committee work next year. So I think there's a lot of opinions in town. I mean, you go to any meeting, there's plenty of opinions, so hopefully it'll get more people to be involved if they actually know how the process actually works. So I think hopefully, I mean, we have to, you know, people. I'm not a young person anymore, having just turned 50 last week, so.
It's a relative term.
So I'll take the compliment, though.
Well, again, your resume is overwhelming.
I have a couple questions about
Please.
the resume.
Go.
First of all, split boarding. I went straight to the other interests because that's what I
Yeah.
always do. I don't read all the other stuff. I'm not too familiar with split boarding. I have some Google pictures of it. How does it differ from backcountry skiing, or is it?
It's the same, except it's with the snowboard, and it splits in half so you can climb up, and then it goes back together at the top.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly. So
very interesting.
it's exactly
Just
the
like
same, but for
stunned all of
us snowboarders, like we can actually have more fun coming down.
Now, do you
So.
have?
You carry
Do you
Yeah,
poles.
we
like
have
go so far
skins.
as to have
Poles?
poles?
Poles? Yeah, you gotta have poles, because you gotta,
Get up.
get up.
But what
Then
do you
they
do?
collapse, and you
Okay.
go back in the.
And also
back
in
up.
your
Sounds like another way to kill yourself.
also in your CV, you didn't know it was going to be this much of an
Yeah, exactly,
interrogation.
it's exciting.
Mountain bike trail building. That's awesome. You were active over in Woodstock, you said?
Yeah, exactly.
That's really, yeah. that's
We've got a good set of
trails.
trails.
Have you been on our Truscott trails?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's right out my
In
door.
your
so,
backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just awesome.
Well,
Good.
that was, we questioned hard here.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just happy to have a volunteer. We really appreciate you stepping up.
No, it should be,
Or I speak for myself.
no, I'm excited.
You ready to vote? Further questions of the verdict here? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
And think about
And
my
happy
question.
birthday.
Oh,
Happy
thank
birthday to you.
Oh, really? Sure.
Well, it was last week, right?
It was last week
Yeah.
on Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So Matt, think about my question.
I will, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, good to meet you.
And we have one other,
One other appointment.
please, what's that all about? Take that one off for us.
What is the other one?
So we are appointing a new treasurer. We moved some job responsibilities around down in the finance office, and so this is just an appointment that has to be made by the select board as the town treasurer.
So, do I hear a motion as the town
Yep, yeah.
to be the treasurer?
So moved?
Second?
She here to defend herself? All those in favor?
Aye.
She's appointed.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is. Okay, wow, finance director update.
Okay, update.
Update.
We've got a new finance director.
Yay!
Yes, so very excited about that. We are very pleased to announce that we are hiring Ellen Bullion. She is a Hanover resident, a Tuck graduate, and has about 15 years of experience in the private sector as a finance director, 2 different companies. Ellen is going to be starting part-time this week, 1 day a week, and then starting full-time the 3rd week of January. Let's see, we had 14 applicants for the position of finance director, and
that sounds great.
pretty good, yeah, I would say pretty good, considering how things are right now.
I think it's awesome. Can I
Yeah.
just say, stop?
Yeah.
Yay! We
Yeah,
have a
we
finance
are very
director
excited.
who's familiar with the community, who has 10 years of experience.
Yeah,
No, I was talking about the number of applicants interested in the
Oh,
job.
well,
well, that too.
that too,
Yeah.
but.
And we had 3 finalists who were all like perfectly any of the 3 could have done the job very
That's
well.
great. I'm glad
Awesome.
to hear that.
Congratulations.
And so we feel confident in Ellen. We are, and we were very excited about the sort of flexibility start date wise. And so we do have a finance consultant who we've hired, and it's great because he has already actually started helping us. And I'll give just a very quick update on the budget too. But basically, we have a finance consultant who is going to help onboard this person a little bit, which we would not have had otherwise. So it's actually kind of a nice setup. We're very excited because it has been a bit of a slog without a finance director the last couple months. So speaking of slogs, the update on the budget process, I would say, and we're going to have a little more detail next week, but basically this week we are beginning to take in our operating requests from departments. We spoke about it, worked out some of the details in our department head meeting last week. We are about a month, maybe about 4 or 5 weeks behind what we were hoping to do, but we have backtracked everything from town meeting and all the dates and deadlines that we have to meet next year. And of course, we set maybe about a month or 2 ago the budget hearing dates at the end of February, beginning of March. So that whole timeline is still in place. It's just going to be a little crazy December, January, doing all the pieces internally. But we do have a finance consultant who's very experienced, was the finance director in Londonderry, a couple other towns, has worked with the city of Lebanon. And now having a finance director coming in, we feel like we are going to, it's still going to be a tough budget year process-wise, but we feel pretty good. I think we're all.
When do you need our input relative to our targeted tax rate?
So I would say either we'll see how much information we can get together for the next meeting. So I would say either the next meeting or the first meeting in January would be that, and I'll probably know more in a week.
We're meeting on the 19th, is that?
Can I ask
Yes.
a question?
Sure.
So we set the date, we set February 27, 28, 29 or something like that for the budget hearings. Because that's how we've always done it, and it gave adequate time to but if we needed to push it and to give, since we're 4 or 5 weeks behind now, would we be amenable to pushing it? I mean, like pushing it to the 2nd week of March instead of the last week of February or something like that, no?
I don't know, in terms of the whole process.
Yeah, no, we've always done the last week of February, or the second to the last week of February. But if we
I think
feel like we're rushing the staff, if we're a month behind now, would we consider pushing it to mid-March, our hearings?
I think that's my opinion, that schedule's in your hands.
Okay.
and you do what you need to do. So yes, I think it's a yes, but you gotta back it away from town meeting and all the
Right.
things that have to happen after we make our
Right.
input. So I think our input is sooner than later. You're thinking the 19th, but we have 2 people missing on the 19th.
Right.
So we may
Oh.
not,
And that would be tough.
that's the next one, right? That's our
Right.
next meeting is the 19th. Two of us are
The
missing on the 19th.
first week of January is definitely, that works schedule-wise on a few layers. So it is tight, I mean, I can go back and, we had set March 20th as the goal to approve the budget here, with March 27th as sort of a backup date.
Yep.
So we do have a little bit of flexibility. We wanted at least a week from the budget presentations to get everything reorganized and back here, so it could be like error-free, hopefully. Maybe I shouldn't set the bar quite that high. But we want it back here so that we don't have to, make the edits live. But we still have we have a few weeks to play with there, so I appreciate that offer, and maybe over the next few weeks or so, we can just keep in touch about that, and if I feel like we're getting a little worried, I'll double check all the dates on the back end and make sure that none of those dates run afoul of deadlines for town meeting, but if they don't, certainly on our end,
Does your getting our input on desired tax rate after the 19th set you back?
not much, not much.
Because I think to do that,
Yeah,
So-
I would say not really much. I mean, the sooner the better on all these things, but also we're gonna be, so no, I don't think it would be.
I don't have my calendar with me.
So January 2nd, I don't think we have a meeting.
January 9th.
January 9th,
Yeah,
right, it was the
January 9th
first,
scheduled meeting.
That's pretty late.
that, yeah,
That's late.
Is there something after the 19th that would work?
no,
What's the Monday after the 19th? At
it's
Christmas?
the 26th.
26, that's
Oh,
all I
maybe
know.
not.
No, that week is like toast.
No, okay.
No, why would we meet for
I'm
that?
just.
Maybe we should just do the 19th.
The 19th's fine, I mean,
Okay. so-
I won't be here, but,
Who's missing?
I'll object in
I'll be here.
January.
The
Right,
female
right.
contingent of your board,
The
yes.
most important contingent.
You know, if you
Well-
guys make male boneheaded decisions, we'll
We
let
can
you
always come back to it
and
in
we
January.
maybe we can shoot for the 19th, and I'll keep you updated, and we'll think about it on our side, and if we come back, I'll let you know
I'll
if it's
try to
like,
get others' inputs before the 19th.
Okay.
Before they leave town.
One person's opinion is that much rather move it all up, I mean, even into the 19th, if it preserved the February, the last week of February, hearings would be awesome.
I don't
You're
think
out of country in March?
I'll be honest, let me go back and think a little more, but I'm thinking through a few of the dependency steps right now, and I don't think that December 19th to January 9th is gonna make or break the deadline on our side.
Okay, we're gonna go for the 19th as
Yeah.
planned, and then
Okay.
go from there in terms of additional flexibility we need.
Okay.
Totally understand.
Does that work? Okay. I guess the next order of business is a public hearing. I open a public hearing to consider amendment to the rates and fee schedule to discuss proposed billing changes for Hovey Lane and Lebanon Street permits. Which my memory is to make them annual rather than
Monthly instead of,
monthly.
Monthly instead of bi-monthly.
Monthly instead
I
of
twice,
move,
every 2 months.
I always get that screwed up. I move to approve the shift from every 2-month billing to monthly billing for those 2 streets for parking, which is instead of $80 per bill, it's $40 per month.
And sorry, did we second?
Yeah. you can
Yeah,
second
the
it.
purpose of this, as I understand, is to be easier to generate and collect bills, correct?
Yeah, it's a sort of software billing issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, 2 times 40 was 80, so it's
Yep.
the same amount.
It's the same amount of money, it's just they're sending out bills twice.
Why did we ever
once
do
a month.
twice monthly? Who knows? Or-
Who knows? Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's
I-
approved.
Since parking is on this is what we're talking about, I just have one suggestion. There is 2-hour parking to the west of the Black Family Visual Arts Center. It's town parking meter, and it's empty day in and day out because it's only 2-hour parking. When it was 8-hour parking, it was full, and the town was making bank. And so we changed it from 8-hour to 2 hours, so there was more movement. But if the town is down in parking fees, that is approximate location, an 8-hour parking lot or a 4-hour parking lot. I would just pose to the police division, the parking division, to consider that, given parking isn't, as I said, robust. Thank you for the word.
Well, and
Okay.
that is also a part of town where we're not as the turnover
Right.
is not as needed as it is, this far away from our Main Street businesses.
Just thought.
Okay.
Thank you. I think we did 4, we voted on that, if my memory's correct.
You gotta close the public hearing.
Oh. I hereby close the public hearing. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Point of order, point of order.
Tax rate and building discussion. Oh, well done.
Yeah, so we did get the tax rate set 1 cent less than what we were expecting, so I apologize.
Pardon?
No.
No.
You're always welcome.
Always welcome. But just the public hearing piece of the
Public
meeting
hearing.
had to be open as a public
Sorry.
hearing and then closed as a public hearing.
No.
Don't ask me why, but now
So,
we're back to our regular meeting.
okay, so finance committee matters, or finance will still.
Get it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
No.
Right now.
Okay.
Perfect
Right now.
timing right now. Tax rate and billing.
Okay,
Yeah, so the only update I have is that I took the guidance from the select board, we went back, worked with DRA, there was another delay that happened that was outside of our and their control. So that set things back a couple days, but it did come in 1 cent below what we were hoping for, so pretty close, and then the bills are out. And we did manage to get, took a little finagling with the bill, but we got 2 notices on there about the auto payments because the due date is in January. And we did put that on the website. And so I know a few of you mentioned that was an issue last time, so we tried to put that everywhere we could, basically. That if people have auto payments, they need to just check their due dates, if they need their taxes paid in this year.
I received mine today in the mail.
Perfect, because
I
I
got
think
mine
the
on
due date is
Saturday.
January 5th,
Yeah.
so 30 days.
I did mine electronically when I was eating breakfast.
Nice.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Any questions
Fun
from my
Saturday.
committee?
I bet I was one of the first people.
We should check that,
Could you,
yeah.
the dates that the new finance
Can you come on up,
director.
you have to come up to the table, introduce yourself, be at the mic, so people at home can hear you.
Greg Snyder, member of the Finance Committee of the Town of Hanover. I didn't catch the date that the new finance director was going to be starting.
This week. So she's starting 1 day a week this week, and then January 23rd, full-time.
Okay.
Did the finance committee get her resume?
I don't think so. I mean, we haven't sent it, I mean, it's all confidential,
Oh,
so, the hiring process, but now it's not. So I can certainly
you find
send
it
it around or.
Bill?
Yeah,
Good idea.
I think it'd be helpful just to, method to introduce her.
Yeah, and at some point, shortly, I will introduce.
Well, that
everybody
was
so
going to
she
be
can
my
actually
next
meet,
question.
yes.
So certainly, Carrie Asmus, the chair of the committee, would want to be meeting the person as soon as possible.
For sure.
And also, the hired consultant, would he or she be the person for her to be in touch with for gathering any information that she needs?
She should send that to me for now, and then I will help make sure it gets to the right person. And it will probably be the finance consultant in the short term, and then switch over to our finance director, who will probably bring in on the requests, but may not know the answers yet.
Okay.
And then when's the next finance committee meeting? Because maybe maybe we can come to that also.
Well, yes, that's next week, I believe.
Oh.
Just one second.
Yeah.
That might be tough.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the one after that?
I'm not sure,
No.
we need to,
Okay, I
do
can do
that
that
quick.
offline, yeah.
I think this person
Yeah.
needs to get their feet on the ground.
Yeah, but maybe by
Yeah.
January,
Yeah.
just, yeah,
And the next time we should really interact with the finance committee is when we make the presentation to them before the budget hearings.
okay.
I mean, that's a normal process. And we go through our process, and then we involve the finance committee at the beginning of the budget hearings.
And she will be, here on the 19th. Good.
Actually, the finance committee actually gets a preview of the budget before even the select board. Once the books or whatever mechanism we're gonna use this year, they come out, they go to the finance committee, the select board, are also available to the public, if we're still gonna do a book. And then there's a presentation typically made by the town manager, the finance committee, finance director, to
Select board does.
to your committee, even the night of or just prior to when we open up budget hearings. That's the typical process that we follow.
Okay.
Bill?
Just a couple clarifications, because I think, just trying to help Greg here, I know you're pitching. So, the issue with the finance committee is the monthly meeting, and it doesn't match up all that well sometimes for communications, that's all. So, a couple of the lingering questions are, we're expecting the audit for last fiscal year, which ended June 30th. When would that be available? Because one of the specific questions that's lingering is what's left from June 30th that would go potentially into the undesignated fund balance, which has a big impact on thinking, and that's been one of the questions. And last we covered the topic was it was going to be done in December. Well,
We've got some of the numbers, yeah, our finance, that's
So-
sort of the second priority that, so he's been working, we've got some undesignated fund balance numbers.
yeah. So
But I can,
just need the
When will the
and then
the audit's done.
when will it be available to us?
I'm pretty sure, I don't know. And, yeah, there might be, maybe there's a few lingering questions, I'm looking at my email here, there was something from the auditors today. So, I can get back to you on that number, but we will have the undesignated fund balance numbers for when we get into our budget.
Yeah, so it's just a question of trying to get the timeline clarified. So the next Hanover Finance Committee meeting is.
It's on the
It's
12th,
the 12th.
right.
So then the one after that, is it on the 9th of January? I'm not sure.
On the 16th.
16th, okay, then again, by the 9th, January 9th, we would probably have the audit complete, the undesignated fund balance amount, and there'd be discussion either on the 19th or the 9th, January 9th, of what we would recommend as a target.
Correct.
So those are all key points that people are interested in, that's all. Because then you're scrambling to, as we said earlier, to, gather information. But you really, you need a lot, I know it's a lot of staff work, right? And especially with the new finance director. But what we need to try to clarify is just, and you don't need to answer this question right now because you don't have the information. But as we target those 3 nights at the end of February, when will information be available for preview prior to that? That's really, that's the interest. And the concern is, in the past, is to get the binder 2 days before, you need more time to digest, that's all. So that's just.
So we need it at least a week in advance.
Yeah, so
And I think we hope to provide the binder, all the budget accounts will be available if you want to go through. But we're also hoping to provide a more accessible and concise summary of some of the changes too. So both will be available.
So it's just a question of,
More, yeah.
when you figure out when they're gonna be available and be able to share, just need to share the information.
Yes.
Because it's gonna be, we're gonna move it along, and we don't have the answers right now, and you're not gonna have the answers next week,
Right.
so we just need to stay tuned.
Okay.
So January 16th is Martin Luther King Day, which is a federal holiday, so the town offices will be shut. So just as an FYI,
Okay.
in
Thank
terms
you.
of the next finance committee meeting.
And as of our early discussion, we wanted to set the target guideline on the 19th.
December 19th,
This one, December
Right.
19th.
or January 9th.
Well, I thought we decided we'd actually go for it for the 19th.
If we have,
If we can.
if we have enough
We
information.
might not be ready.
Because my concern is that how much information are they gonna have in 2 weeks for us to have a conversation and come up with a percent target? That's-
Got it. Great, is that?
That
Thank you
answers
very
my
much.
questions. Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. So moving on, review and discussion of the Pine Park easement release and authorize town manager to sign all necessary documents. I found this one fascinating.
Yeah, this old stuff is
So,
cool.
maybe you could give us an overview of what's happening on this one.
The deed is
So I know as much as you all do, and if you pull up the Friday mailing, there is a memo in here, and I would say, I'm gonna pull up the last paragraph or two. There's basically 2 reasons identified why this easement is no longer necessary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night,
And Scott,
good night.
And so all this does is dismiss the easement that exists.
Okay, so
And they're not necessary, and that's in the last whereas clause in that memo there.
I read it to be the easement one time allowed access to Pine Park.
Right.
That land is now gonna become a part of Pine Park. So the easement is no longer needed.
Necessary.
The public will have
So-
access.
there was finally a survey done, and so we
Yeah.
finally figured out where the boundaries are, and so there's no need to have this easement anymore,
Okay,
which is my understanding.
Pine Park will
Will
control
have
that
its
land.
own, yeah. I mean,
Which
you've
is public.
seen the amazing trail work, I don't know if you've been out there, it's incredible, the
Where
trails
is
that they've built.
Yeah.
Right at the end of Rope Ferry Road, you know where they used to store the little golf cart things? That's where Rope Ferry Road just continued all the way out there, followed the peninsula down to the river, and there was a rope ferry. They have built, the Pine Park Association has built this accessible trail that goes all the way out and zigs and zags up the hill, and there's a nice loop, and it goes into the woods, but it's probably where you guys played golf, because it's a big swath that Pine Park actually, it turns out they actually owned.
Yeah.
Or is part of the Dartmouth Pine Park, boundary lines work, so. But the trail, there's a stone wall, like a gate at the end of the thing, it says, founded in 1905, Pine Park, and then they've planted some trees, they've put some ADA parking, like right, striped it right there on the road. And it goes in and it's hard packed gravel, similar to the trail that they did down along Mink Brook down here. And it goes straight out and then goes like this, kind of up to the height of land, and you look south and you see, pond and the Baker Tower and the sledding hill. It's quite nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I've walked it. It is very nice. The
And there's
entrance,
benches and,
and it obviously connects, if you want, to all the old trails, and you can walk for miles and miles, but they have a designated area that they've set up.
Yep.
And then as you walk that as an old golfer from Hanover Country Club, you have flashbacks on your good shots, not your bad.
Of course.
or the skiing where you crashed,
Yeah.
or there was no snow when you were cross-country skiing.
I
Or
assume-
the rope tow.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
So I assume it's that legal review? Or does
It came to us from, I have not sent it to
Probably.
our attorney. We can certainly do so. I expected that this was already reviewed by the time it came to me.
I don't think so. I would not assume that. By our attorneys? No, by their attorneys, but not.
I
But-
move that we authorize the town manager to sign the necessary documents after they have been
After
reviewed.
attorney review.
After attorney review.
I
Sure.
think that's a good idea.
Oh, actually, I probably shouldn't do this.
No, you should.
I need to recuse
I make that same
myself.
motion.
Sorry.
And I'll second it.
Go second it. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
And I abstain.
Okay. rental housing ordinance discussion.
Okay, so, we had been acting under the advice of our attorney, that the select board had the authority to make this ordinance. It turns out upon additional review that, this has to go to town meeting. And so there was some, and we had some questions about that from some members of the public, and we had gone back to our attorney and asked for some advice some weeks before we passed the ordinance. But upon a further review, after we passed it, was concluded that we do indeed need to go to town meeting. And so we've kind of gone back and reviewed that with our attorney a little bit. I did communicate with all the stakeholders whose email address I had a week or two ago, and just let them know this was coming up on the agenda so that they were aware about it. And Rob and I have had a few meetings and thought about ways that we can sort of approach making sure that folks are still engaged and the community's educated as we lead up to town meeting. So for example, the idea of offering informal, kind of free, just informal inspections so that people can see what it is about. Because there were some questions on, well, is it too thorough? Are these really life safety issues? And and part of what our response was our staff is really good at working with folks. They're not going to kick people out in the middle of the night unless it's an absolute, safety emergency. And so this would give a chance for, I think, everybody to sort of get to know the ordinance a little bit better, and for us to also take some feedback and continue to improve the draft. So a little more than a little disappointing on the process standpoint, but ultimately I think we'll end up with we'll still end up with a good ordinance that we can take to town meeting.
So can I just clarify,
Please.
the select board and town staff have the authority to draft the ordinance, to take public feedback, to do all of that. It has to be, we do not have the authority to adopt the ordinance, it has to be adopted at town meeting. That's right,
Correct.
that's where we are, okay,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
And I know you've talked to you individually about this, Alex, but why is this ordinance different than, say, you can't go swimming off the bridge, for example?
For some reason, the confusion about this seems to be around the use of the phrase governing body in the RSAs, where governing body typically refers to the select board, but for some reason in this particular statute, governing body refers to town meeting. And our attorney thinks it's like the only place in the entire state code that is the case, and that's why it was missed. If your question is why don't we have the authority, that I don't know the exact answer to, other than broadly just that towns.
No,
Yeah.
it just is as a fine answer, because it's New Hampshire, it's gonna be right. That's fine.
Cities, I believe, have the authority to do it on their own, but towns do not.
Okay, employee recognition. Norm wrote a wonderful tribute to
Yeah.
Sue.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and so neither Norm nor Sue could be here tonight, but Norm and I spoke about this, I think it was a couple weeks ago. And so this went through, I don't want to read the acronym wrong. It's the New Hampshire Association of Assessing Officials. And so it's an award for an outstanding administrative staff support, which Sue definitely exemplifies. Just in my short time here, I give a thumbs up to this as well. Norm has obviously worked with Sue much longer, and through a relatively, as I understand it, tumultuous re-eval and post period. And Sue handled the interactions with the public really well, just kept everything organized, and I know has been what's the right word? Has been sort of a steady, like a rock for Norm in the assessing office. So I know Norm was very happy to do this for Sue.
Yeah, Sue. She's been with us for 28 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's
Fantastic.
smiling and she's always pleasant when you come in, she's
You just kind
awesome.
of get that
Really
sense
great.
when you're with her that she really knows what she's doing, and
Yeah.
whatever comes at her, she's gonna deal with it very well. And she got us through those 400
Yeah,
abatement requests, right?
that was
Not
awesome.
an easy job.
Congratulations, Sue. And thank you, Norm, for thinking of it.
No,
Well done.
Yeah.
yes.
We have donations. We need a motion to accept donations to the Hanover Police in the amount of $25. And believe me, I'm gonna try to get this name right, and coming from Fluent, I should be able to do it. Siddhartha V. Jayanti and Prasad Jayanti. Close?
Yes,
We thank we appreciate their contribution of $25 to the Hanover Police, which is, it's just it was a general thank you. And we have another one from Fletcher Loki and Susan Damon for the Etna Library for $100. Again, a general thank you for all the work they do. So I keep your motion to accept those two donations.
And at the same time, are we going to do the vital communities and check?
Help me out with that one.
That's the
that was
check
from
in the-
Yolanda,
This is
from
the
the
Yolanda check,
Sustainability
too.
Committee.
Yolanda
Yes, oh, certainly.
Palmer.
Uh,
Is that just the town manager?
Yeah, this was a sort of honorarium that she got, and then she decided to give to the town. So it's sort of a thank you to two parties.
Yes.
But I think we
Yes.
should also mention why she received that, because she presented at a regional
Yeah,
meeting, state meeting?
yes, at the Vital Communities Climate Change Leadership Academy. Yes.
So she spoke and they gave her money and then she gave it to us, so
She
Talk about a volunteer who is
Yeah.
committed to the cause, yeah.
she's amazing.
Above and beyond, yeah,
Yep.
she's
So I
She's
would-
paying us,
I know.
yeah. We should get Matt Stover back in.
So I add that to my motion. Any questions?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you again. Minutes of November 21. I did have one suggestion. Others may have others, but I think if you go to page 1, I'd like to add, there's a last paragraph said board members discussed. I would like to add another sentence or a paragraph that says it was noted, this has to do with the issue of the motor vehicle budget. And I'd like to add a sentence that said it was noted that the DRA questioned the increase in motor vehicles revenue from prior years, and the board agreed to reduce it to the FY22 budget amount of $1,500,000. So we're very clear about the change we made. It's referenced in the next paragraph, but I thought we needed a little bit more specificity. Just a paragraph says that we reduced it to $1,500,000, which was the previous budgeted amount.
Yep.
Other than that, I thought they were wonderful. Any other suggestions, questions, additions?
Nope.
I move their adoption as amended.
I'll second that motion.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
You were not, you might not have been here.
No, he wasn't here.
Yep, you were seen on it.
Oh, yes, I remember.
And I'll take up that wording, I've got that wording for you.
Okay.
I've got that amendment wording for you. Okay, administrative report.
Nothing for me this month other than, or nothing for me this meeting, other than the 5th episode of Hanover Happenings is out. And I did do this one slightly differently, where I'm breaking one longer episode into several shorter ones. So now if you're listening to the podcast, you can get the update, which is like gonna be around 20-ish minutes a month. And then I've been doing, it looks like 2 spotlights each month. So this one was with Abe Healy, who is a Hanover High School student. We talked about his Eagle Scout project, which I thought was cool. And talked a little bit about sci-fi, of course, which I think is very cool. And then also had a sort of sit-down panel with a bunch of our election officials. So our town moderator, town clerk, 2 ballot clerks, and one of the supervisors of the checklist, and just talked about what goes into the election, how ballots are counted, which is not by number, but by some other thing that I'll save for, you have to find out by listening to the podcast. That one hasn't been posted yet, but anyway, so those are all up, and I think I'm gonna keep that format so people can see the shorter episodes, and it also then makes it a little easier for people to share the episodes, because we'd like to promote some of the employee spotlights that we're doing, and so that's it.
That's great.
Selectboard reports.
Yes, the Hanover Sustainability Master Plan Committee met last week. We thoroughly reviewed the economy chapter, and realized after almost 2 hours that that probably wasn't the best use of our volunteer hours or minutes, and kind of gave the authority to the staff to work closely with the consultants to do some major overhauls to the writing and to layout and to basically content. It was a pretty tough session, I would say, if trying to get what we want in terms of this master plan and highlight the great stuff and really talk about things that we need to work on. And so that was on the local economy, sustaining our economy or something like that. The next meeting is on next Tuesday at 5 p.m. here in this room. I think we're working, there's a health and wellness chapter, and we'll be reviewing that. As soon as we get these chapters in decent form, we will be posting them and making them available. And I think there'll probably be a few that we can post before, like, by mid-December, end of next week, we think. So that was Hanover Sustainability work. And people are welcome to come. It's open to the public, and we've had a couple of people who are regulars who engage outside of the committee members. And it's also, you can go on the website and you can zoom in should you choose to. Today, the Hanover Bike Walk Committee met this afternoon. Lively discussion, as always, lots of work being done. 4 big issues. One, there's been a request and kind of the Hanover Bike Group, as well as the Richmond Middle School, would like to see speed limits reduced between the 2 roundabouts to 25 miles per hour, just in general, just feeling that there's a lot of students, a lot of kids going back and forth, that it should be 25, not just in the half an hour around peak hour. So they are going to,
It's 20
during the peak hour, but they're saying that just given the.
No, I understand your statement.
Yeah.
It's just
And during
correct
the,
me a little bit.
and like on Reservoir Road, it's
Yeah.
the same, it's 20 during like the half an hour of school drop off. And they're feeling like it should be, the principal has requested, could that be 25 miles per hour? That request will go to the new safety committee, Alex's committee with the Hanover PD and planning and DPW. A second request will also be submitted imminently, and this has been discussed before. There's a group of neighbors with, I think they counted 36 children, would like to see a crosswalk with the rapid fire lights crossing down here on South Main between Dunster and Wyeth Road. There's a flashing yellow light, but they would like a crosswalk installed. They've petitioned the state. The state agrees that there's adequate sight distance. They won't pay for it, but if the town thinks it's something that they would want to do to improve the crossing, there's a advanced transit bus stop, northbound right near Dunster. There's no sidewalk on the east side of Route 10 there. And so that's a second safety request that will go to this newly
So
formed committee.
The town would pay for it and maintain it, but it's still a state road?
I'm not sure they would maintain it. We would have to, because it's a state road. The state was more than happy to give up that section of road
Yeah, I
from
know, they're
basically
really happy.
Brook
They're
to
very
the
happy.
Lebanon line, and that includes a bridge. And I think the town, we would not necessarily want that if we wanted to put that light in, much like the one between Sachem and, up at Campion. There's that crosswalk's
Yeah,
relatively
that one
new.
as well.
And so that's the neighbors really feel like that worked well, the Brook Road crossing works well, the Courier crossing down here has these rapid fire, you know, you push the button and the lights go on, and that's what they'd like to see there. So that's the second thing that came out, the Hanover Bike Walk supports, and we'll send it to the safety committee, and hopefully the committee will move forward on it. Two other things that are of interest. The committee is all encompassing and started talking about parking and, you know, what kind of zoning the town had, and kind of some of us said, hey, let's focus on bike walk. Arguments were ensued to say, hey, parking and transit has a lot to do with biking and walking, because you're only, you know, everyone's a pedestrian, and we need to make sure there's good walking and biking connections. So interesting discussion, refocus the energy. There's a new, as I've mentioned before, there's a new updated master plan for bike walking in Hanover. The committee put it together with some great leadership from the chair, Jenny Chamberlain. We shared it with the town staff. They were able to find some small money to get our professional bike walk planner, Carolyn Radish, who works for GPI. She reviewed the document and had some great suggestions for making it a much tighter document. So the committee has the draft in hand with all of her edits and recommendations to make it just read better and to be more engineered with engineering stuff. It's had some really good recommendations. It's great. I think it's a great model.
And that becomes a part of the new sustainability plan.
Yeah, I'm hoping it will definitely be referenced. I think the committee has to review, the sustainability committee will review what the Hanover Bike Walk Committee does, and then it will all go to the planning board, and they'll make the decision as to what is actual of the town's master plan. So lots of good work, lots of volunteer time, lots of new energy, neighbors coming together. So anyway.
Your planning board is going to meet in this room tomorrow at 7:30. It is not a meeting that has anything unusual in the agenda. A couple cases, site plan review for residences and so forth, and there is a possibly coming to zoning amendments from the public. People wish to add amendments for the town's consideration. And the topic that Joanna just talked about, they're going to be looking at also from the sustainability master plan, they want to see the economic growth and transportation chapters. So,
I have nothing to report.
Nothing.
Bill?
I'll just share that this past Friday night, the Parks and Rec
Oh, right.
yes.
department sponsored holiday event, and it was well attended. A lot of people walking about, the stores, and obviously participated and seemed to have fun. Santa Claus was there with vigor and a long line for photos, and it was just a good night. It was missing was a few snowflakes on the ground, would have added better atmosphere, but putting that aside, I think it was a really nice, fun community night.
Yeah.
And then just a reminder, this coming Friday and Saturday, there'll be more events on Allen Street, if you're interested.
What's going on? Funny I should ask, right?
Yeah, let me just pull it back up. I had it and then it faded here. On Friday night, there'll be a movie from 5 to 6 outside. Bundle up, bring a chair. Popcorn and hot chocolate is provided. Friday night, this is up your alley, I think. Silent disco.
Oh!
You could go from 7 to 8.
Wait a minute, what's the silent
Where is
disco?
it?
Let me explain it. Just give me.
I bet you put
Yeah.
earphones on and then
Yes,
you
you
dance.
do.
Oh,
That's what you do.
hilarious.
So from 7 to 8:30 in the Mascoma Bank parking garage, talking about atmosphere, and you have your
It's
earphones.
really fun. I did
It's
it.
fun.
got good
I did it in the
acoustics.
tunnel in Lebanon. It was so
Yeah.
much fun.
No, it's fun. It's a fun thing. It would be.
I bet that'd be hilarious.
There is a pre-registration fee of $10. If you drop in that night, it's $20. So it's well worth planning ahead. Save yourself $10. And
How to get, is that on the Hanover Parks and Rec website?
yes,
To
all this is available on the website. And then on Saturday from 1 to 3, again on Allen Street, there's will be arts and crafts and food, games, music, winter fun photos, petting farm, pony rides, Santa, and snow. I'm
Snow?
not sure how to.
We've got a lot of power at that Hanover Parks and Rec Department.
It may be in a bucket or something from the,
Come
someone's
on,
freezer, but
you're just hoping for snow.
anyway. So anyway, that's free admissions, you know, economics shouldn't get in your way.
Kudos to all the people who put it together.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
Friday
sounds like a
night
lot of
was
fun.
really
There was
fun.
a ton of people there, everybody looked like they were fun, it was
Yeah.
great. And I
Friday
mean,
night,
this-
yeah.
Friday night, this sounds just as great.
No, it should be, so enjoy, community,
And-
turn out.
And I'll put a plug in for Mascoma, when we get there is pretty much the end. And that's where Santa Claus was, and snowmen and reindeer and the Grinch. And as I walked in.
And cookies.
And cookies and popcorn and Mrs. Claus walking around with cookies. And when I walked in, he was like, "You're the 750th person to come in through the door." And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So lots of fun stuff was happening there. So kudos to everyone for making it.
And the lights look nice.
Oh, yeah, and it all started with, cocoa and cookies, compliments of the president's office at Dartmouth, and lighting there, and some great singing by the revelers. So,
Okay. Other business? Hearing none. There's been a request for a non-public session to discuss items pursuant to RSA 91A through A and B
And L.
and L.
Yeah.
What?
Don't worry, I'll explain it to you later.
Okay.
All,
That's
Bill
new.
Garrity, yes?
I thought it was Ross, yes.
Peter Christie, yes.
Nancy Carter, yes.
Joanna Whitcomb, yes.
We are in non-public session. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
you.
Stevie.
Where's this L come from?
Wait.